To me, this song is the spirit, the epitome of St. Patrick's Day. It is called St. Patrick's Day, and it is by Derek and excuse me, Brendan Fletcher. I guess is kind of a specialty thing they do because I've gotten a number of their stuff before where they do like sorry, I'm not used to having this hair around here. These types of music for holidays and stuff like that. Whoops, don't want to do that. Just playing stuff off my St. Patrick's Day playlist on my YouTube. So if you want to check it out, it does have not just music, but it has some comedy bits and stuff like that. Some of it is not safe for work, so I'd recommend you not checking that out. So happy St. Patrick's Day Eve. That's not really Irish there, dummy. I am drinking green tea, though. So, I'm not drinking alcohol because it's actually St. Patrick's Day Eve, and I rather had a busy day today, and I'm kind of exhausted right now, so I don't think I could handle the alcohol. But tomorrow, we are going to be having a St. Patrick's Day party at my sister-in-law's house because her twin son's birthdays were earlier this week, and they were going to celebrate the party with the family today. This it's going to be on my mouth all day. Pull it down a little bit further down. That might be better. Anyway, so it is St. Patrick's Day Eve, and hey, even though I'm not Irish, I can still celebrate it. I'm a huge holiday fan anyway, and I like this kind of thing. And so we're here today to talk about all kinds of neat stuff. It is St. Patrick's Day Eve. I will be talking about some St. Patrick's Day stuff, some more studies, some anniversaries, stupid people, crazy people, more sex stories than usual, and more moose stories than usual. A unknown history. Being a history major, I didn't actually know about this until this week, how the Irish Americans invaded Canada 5 times. We'll talk a little bit about that. Police cats, pathetic man-child melting Star Wars toys, and some other stuff as well. Captain Marvel's debut, Avengers Endgame trailer discussion, stuff like that. But first, let me tell you about my day real quick. I walked more today than I think I have ever in my life. Not surprising, my car is messed up again. Actually, I have tail lights now are not working, and I got pulled over the police as I talked about last week. Got to get them repaired, so I took it down to a place that's open on Sundays, a car repair place that's open on Sundays. Took it down there this morning and drove it down there, and then I walked back, which is about 2 miles, and then it was Pinewood Derby Day for Noah and his Boy Scout troop, and Dawn took Noah and Noel to Pinewood Derby, and I went out and I got alcohol for St. Patrick's Day. I got food for St. Patrick's Day at our local grocery store, so I had to walk to that, and our liquor store, I had to walk to that also. And then I had to get presents for my nephews, so I told my wife, since she's going to be out for a while, that I would walk down to Target to get it. Now, Target's about 3.5 to 4 miles away from my house, so it took me an hour both ways, walking up hills and down hills, to get, to go to Target to get what I need to get and then come back. So I am tired out. My muscles are burning right now, and I'm worn out. So I'm going to try to get through this as I can without falling asleep, and hopefully wake up tomorrow feeling refreshed. So St. Patrick's Day. Now, what's the big deal for St. Patrick's Day for me? Well, if you've watched my show for the last 5 or 6 years, you know I do a St. Patrick's Day show every year. And I probably tell these stories over and over again, but I'm going to tell them again anyway for those who might not have gone back to find those. I'm a big holiday guy. I've always have been. Holidays are my favorite thing, and this is a major holiday between really Valentine's Day, I guess, and Easter. So it's the only thing that's really in between the two of those. And it's fun. I mean, it's a different holiday where it's fun. It might not be as, decorating as much stuff as you do during during Christmas or Halloween or something like that. But you wear green. I'm wearing green, my green here, and I've been wearing green all week this week at work. And listen to Irish music. You heard some of it there, and there's a whole bunch of Irish music out there. Go to my YouTube page, go to my playlist, and find my St. Patrick's Day playlist. I'll actually probably will post it tomorrow for St. Patrick's Day for you guys to listen to it. It's good fun, fun stuff in there. So it's good that, and it's drinking and partying and stuff like that. So it's always a lot of fun. So something else about St. Patrick's Day was my stepdad, before he passed away a couple years ago, he was in an Irish band, and every year they were busy as anything. I mean, they had a weekly gig that they always did, but St. Patrick's Day they were asked to do a whole bunch of different things. So they did on St. Patrick's Day and the leading up to St. Patrick's Day, they did 2 or 3 different Irish parties, St. Patrick's Day parties and stuff like that, played music for it. And so one year, I don't remember if I took off work or I had off work or it was a weekend, I don't remember, but my mom and I went to see him play at a bar in Haverty Grace on St. Patrick's Day and spent the whole day there, and it was a lot of fun. And so, always have a soft spot in my heart for St. Patrick's Day. Plus, my stepdad's birthday is March 18th, so it's the day after. So that's why I like that. And just because I'm not Irish doesn't mean I can't celebrate it. And I got a few people saying stuff like that. I mean, they might have just been kidding off to the side, but it kind of annoyed me a little bit this week. You're not Irish, why are you celebrating? Are you Irish? No. So why are you celebrating? It was because I think it's fun. I like the music. It's entertaining, and it's a great holiday. You get to wear green, and there's not much, you need to do. And then once it's over, you gear up for Easter. So St. Patrick's Day is a lot of fun, and it's the last time it's going to be on the weekend for a while, which is a shame. Next year, because it is leap year, it'll be on a Tuesday. Then 2021 will be Wednesday. 2022 will be a Thursday. 2023 will be a Friday. And then 2024 will be back on the Sunday. So next at least 4 years, we've got a Friday, but that's about it. So we'll see what happens. So that's St. Patrick's Day. So go out, enjoy yourself. And if you're not Irish, who cares? Just go out, drink some alcohol, corned beef and cabbage, fried foods, whatever you want to do. Just listen to Irish music, watch some movies. Waking Ned Devine, Secret of Rowan Inish, Darby O'Gill and the Little People are all really good. I guess it was The Thin Man maybe is another one that was something like that. There's a bunch of Irish types of movies out there. Not really like St. Patrick's Day ones, but some good Irish ones that you can find entertaining for your St. Patrick's Day needs if you need to, or just don't do it at all and just have it be a regular day. That's fine also. But, let everyone else enjoy it as much as they want to. So that's what we're going to do. So that's it for that. So St. Patrick's Day Eve, enjoy yourselves. And since it is on the weekend, it's on Sunday, the parties have been going on all day today. They probably started on Friday as well. So a lot of places, a lot of Irish places go for the whole week. But the big stuff, it was a long weekend. So it was St. Patrick's Day weekend this weekend. So as I said, the last time for about 4 years it's going to happen. So that's very refreshing, actually. So now we're getting back to the regular portion of our show. Empire Strikes Back is considered to be one of the best movies of all time. A lot of people consider it a sequel better than the original, even though it doesn't have a 2 in the number. But you can still consider it a sequel. And it is a great movie. And so, what if you want to see Empire Strikes Back through a whole different window? There's a group that put on, it's a burlesque group that does a version of Empire Strikes Back. And burlesque usually means barely clothed. So that would be very entertaining to see that as well, to see how they interpret Empire Strikes Back in a burlesque fashion. So it's a thing, it's out there. Look it up, see if you can find it, and tell us how it is. A new study says you and your dog are actually in love with each other. So, this love that you feel for your dog and the love that your dog feels for you is actual physical love. You don't Doesn't mean you have to physically love them in that way, but at least it is a study that kind of makes you go, no duh. It says you and your dog are actually in love with each other. So it's a study thing. I figure I'd bring it up. Florida woman claims a demon told her to steal a rental car. This is just one of many really dumb stories this week that people get into and are the pretty much the bread and butter of this show. So a woman claims a demon told her to steal a rental car. Now here's a funny thing to think about. What if a demon actually did? I mean, it looks, to us, it sounds like she's a crazy person. But what if a demon actually said, you need to steal that rental car? If demons exist, who's to say? I don't know. So just another interesting storyline. This is kind of a sad story. Service dogs are important, and they play a big role in helping people being blind or to move or talk or do whatever. And so, be aware that, there are real people who need service dogs to help them. I mean, in order for them to cope, they need to have these dogs. However, unfortunately, fake service dogs are now a thing. People who don't want to be parted from their dogs, i.e. the study saying you and your dog are actively in love with each other, you create a fake service dog thing for them. And it's just not right. I mean, yes, you love your dog and you want to be with your dog all the time, but that's sort of taking advantage of something where somebody who actually needs a service dog on a plane or on vacation or in a store or whatever, and then you're just, I don't really need a service dog, but I want to bring my dog with me anywhere, and it's the easiest way to get dogs to come into the store with me. There's just something about that doesn't sound right. But that's just me. So I don't know. Good news for Marvel fans. James Gunn, who was unceremoniously kicked off of directing Guardians of the Galaxy 3, has been reinstated as the director of Guardians of the Galaxy 3 by Disney and Marvel this week. So good on that. He will do it. It's still due to come out in 2021. He has to get through Suicide Squad first, and then he'll do this one. So there you go. Pretty good on that. When they fired him, I went on a rant about why it was a dumb move, and so I'm glad to see that the conservatives have lost this fight. Man dressed up as a unicorn. This is local news. A man dressed up as a unicorn tried to rob a convenience store here in Maryland with a crowbar, but got busted. But he wore his disguise, a unicorn disguise. Now, I talked about this a couple weeks ago. It's actually, disguises actually aren't bad. I could go to try to rob a store dressed like this, and people wouldn't really know how to describe me. I guess they could figure it out, and maybe they would be able to see it was me, but I could wear this and rob something. It'd be great. But the unicorn is actually a interesting costume to rob somebody with. And then with a crowbar? Interesting. I didn't know these things existed, but I guess they did. But a giant stingray was photographed emerging from the ocean to say hi to somebody who was on shore. It was this huge thing just going like an alien from like the abyss or something like that, coming up and just sort of said hi, just sort of sank back down. It was kind of a creepy looking video, but the fact is it was kind of cool that the stingray was just coming up to say hi, and that was it, and then went back down. Back to Florida and animals. Florida man finds a bright green iguana in his toilet and called 911. 911 was able to retrieve the iguana and let him loose in the yard. So hopefully he won't find his way back into that person's toilets. But how would you like that? You go in to go to the bathroom. You don't know how it happened. All of a sudden there's a green iguana just sitting in your toilet. Like, hey, what's going on, man? That's kind of weird. Facebook was down this week, as was Instagram and all that stuff. So this might not be as long as usual because I had some good stories I want to talk about on Wednesday that I tried to share but couldn't due to the outage. So we missed out on some pretty good stories. So I just want to let you know that might be why this episode might be a little bit shorter than usual, because we missed a day of the week. So I've talked to you about my love for Sarah Michelle Gellar before. On March 10th, which was earlier this week, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show that made her claim to fame, turned 22 years old. So happy birthday to you, Buffy. And your show was great on top of things. Third season still the best. Second season is up there. The first season is pretty good. Fourth season was kind of crappy. Fifth season was kind of okay, but it also wasn't great. The sixth season was shitty, and the seventh season was okay. So it had its moments, but the third season was the pinnacle of what made it a great show. But in and of itself, it's a great show, and Sarah Michelle Gellar is still really hot, and that's all I have to say about that. Two moose stories. This is more moose stories than I've told in ever, really. But there are two moose stories that hit this week, pretty much about a day after each other. First one was a moose camped out in front of a library, and it freaked out the librarians and scared the people so much that they closed the library for a couple of days till the moose went away, because they didn't know if they tried to approach the library, the moose would get up and attack them. This is a big moose, and he was just sort of sitting there with this look on his face like, you try it, go ahead. No one's getting in this library. Also, do y'all know what a carport is? There are some people that don't have garages. Instead, they have these sort of metallic cover type things that you park your car under so that the rain and snow and stuff doesn't hit it, and it stays fairly dry underneath it. Well, probably in the same state, it was a big snowfall hit, and it piles up on top of the carport so it doesn't pile up on your car. A moose got on top of a carport and was just walking around on that. I guess the snow was so high he was able to make his way up there to stand up there. But it's just really interesting that there were two moose stories same week. More stupid people. Nashville man crashes into a pole, blames his imaginary friend. Yeah, guy's walking along, he crashes into a pole in front of everybody and says, oh man, my imaginary friend, he did that on purpose. Okay, that's up there with a demon telling you to steal a rental car. That's crazy, man. This is a pretty interesting story. The Westboro Baptist Church, which is always protesting terrible, they protest funerals, and they're anti-gay and stuff like that, and they're not nice people. Well, at one of their recent protests, they were repelled by metalheads with kazoos. Kazoos. So these metalheads were playing heavy metal music on these kazoos while they were trying to protest, and you couldn't hear them because the kazoos were so loud and shrill and making a lot of noises. So good on our metalheads there. See, metalheads are good people too. An Oxford study, which is actually the first time in my studies that they actually had someone say, this is who made the study and did it. But an Oxford study said that there is no link between video games and real-life violence. So violent video games, according to this Oxford study, are not the cause of violence in teenagers. Now, I mean, I guess I can agree with that kind of a little bit. I don't fully believe that video games cause violent outages of people and attacks and stuff like that, but there's still something just that I don't know, that these kids find themselves drawn to these violent video games, and I don't know if that means that they end up causing violence, but I mean, sometimes maybe it does. But in this case, the study said, no, it really doesn't. And to be honest, I really haven't heard of very many attacks recently where kids said they learned it from video games. So that's something else. Most attacks now come from people who learned it from their president. So we'll just leave that there. For you ladies out there, this might be something for you to consider next time a guy is bothering you or your husband is bothering you or something like that. Female dragonflies will fake death so males do not bother them. So if a female dragonfly does not want to be bothered by a male dragonfly, it will pretend to be dead. And the male dragonfly will move on and with its life. So, hey, there you go, ladies, something for you to do. You can pretend you're dead so that men won't bother you. First, a couple of sex stories this week. Woman, here is a, no, this could be woman on woman also, I guess, but a woman almost dies from a stroke triggered by oral sex. So while her partner was giving her oral sex, this woman was only 44 years old, which is a year younger than I am. No, I'm not going to say it. She was receiving oral sex, and all of a sudden, her blood pressure skyrocketed, obviously, and almost caused a stroke. I think she had a stroke, but she almost died from the stroke that was triggered by the passion of the oral sex, the blood pressure rise. I guess it was such strong pleasure that the blood pressure just shot up there and caused the stroke to happen. And luckily, the woman did not die of it. But just be careful next time you orally pleasure your partner. Plant compound found to reverse lung damage associated with COPD. So if you have COPD, there is now a compound out there that might be able to reverse the lung damage that COPD causes. So that's a good sign. I mean, it seems like, last week I talked about that cure for cancer that could possibly come in a few years, stuff like that. It appears that science is working and they are figuring out, it's been taking time, but they've been figuring out how they can, AIDS is starting to get cured also. They're starting to figure out how to cure a lot of these problems. And so keep it going, you awesome science people. Science didn't come up with this. A chef did at the Pig Pen delicacy in California. It's a hamburger joint. The hot Cheetos mac and cheese bun on the flaming McDaddy burger. So instead of a hot hamburger roll, it is hot Cheeto mac and cheese buns. So they get the mac and cheese, they are able to form it to a bun, and it's dusted with this hot Cheeto mix, and it's put on top of the hamburger, and you eat the whole thing, and it's cheesy and hot Cheeto-y. So if you're into that kind of stuff, hey, why not? Another story about California. Guy drives from Maine to California, which is a good 4 to 5 day drive, with 3 baseball bats in his trunk to fight Google for shutting down his YouTube channel. Now, if Google decided to shut down my YouTube channel, maybe they should, because this channel is lousy by the amount of people who watch this show. 6 people last I saw, and I lost a subscriber this week as well. So, I want more people to watch, obviously, and I don't want to lose my YouTube page. But if for some reason I do lose my YouTube page, I'm not driving from Maryland to Maine with 3 baseball bats to assault Google. And you don't even know who in Google. He just said he's going to assault Google. Who are you going to assault in Google? The guy who runs it, the guy who does social media, the girl who does social media, whatever. But it's just, you had 4 to 5 days you stayed angry at Google for shutting down your YouTube page. You drove from Maine to California. That's across the country. That's a long trip. And you didn't calm yourself down? Weird. Sesame Street will be receiving postage stamps later this year, so good on that. They need to do that. Game of Thrones wine. I already talked about Game of Thrones beer and Game of Thrones Oreos. Well, they have Games of Thrones wine out now. So go ahead and check that out as well. There's also, I've been talking about the big summer stuff. New one now is a rainbow float, can seat 6 people, and you can all chill out under the big inflatable rainbow and enjoy yourself. Swarovski studded Nike shoes. I just weird. Swarovski is a type of, not really diamond, but a shiny, glassy type of. I've got a few Swarovski crystal. It's a crystal, I guess. Crystal things for Dawn, but they're expensive. But why would you put that stuff on a shoe? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever to me. St. Patrick's Day is rolling through, as I said, tomorrow, if you're watching this tomorrow, today. Niagara Falls is just one of many places that are turning green. So Niagara Falls will be turning green for St. Patrick's Day. They've already filled the river in Chicago and turned that green. That's already green. There's a great shot that I found on Twitter of an aerial shot of Chicago, and you see the pure green of the river. And I was always wondering, how the heck do they make it be so green? Because there is no like breaks of blues and whites and grays or whatever. It's all green. And I can't even imagine how they're able to dye a river so perfectly green. Let's see if I can find that picture. I think I shared it. Let me see. No, these are my pictures, not my regular ones. Hold on. It's such a great picture, though. Hopefully I'll be able to find it. Yeah, sure it is. See, look how green it is. That's just insane about how green that river is in Chicago. I can't. It still boggles my mind how they do that. Also, Krispy Kreme donuts will be selling their glazed donuts in a green donut style, probably just for one more day. So you better come and get it real quick before you lose out on that. Vasectomy cakes are a thing. You know, there's cakes for everything. So if you're getting vasectomy, someone can now get you a cake to make you feel better as you recover from your operation. Oh man, that is so refreshing. Pokemon Go will be introducing their Equinox event because, hey, guess what happens on Wednesday, the first day of spring? The spring vernal equinox is this Wednesday. We had a little touch of spring here on the eastern seaboard Thursday and Friday. We had some 60s and 70s those 2 days, and it was really, really nice. And now we got back down to the 40s today and tomorrow. But it's going back up next week, so we'll get the temperatures back to where they were last week up here now, too. But spring is springing. Wednesday will be the end of winter, 2018-2019, and the beginning of spring 2019. So look forward to that. But because of that, Pokemon Go is doing their Equinox event, which goes from the 19th to the 26th, which also coincides with next week is Community Day. It'll be Trico is going to be the guy who will be Community Day for 3 hours. Tricos will be everywhere. You can get yourself a special move, evolution, and there's probably going to be some shinies and stuff like that. So go with that. But this event will be going on at the same time as that. So that's good as well. Milk Coke, which sounds absolutely disgusting, is apparently a thing now too, where people pour milk in their Coke, which I've done it by accident before. Like I've had a cup that I've drank milk out of before, and there's still been some residue, and I put soda in there, and it just bubbles and forms like this yucky, weird, disgusting type of fluid. But it's apparently a thing, and I just cannot imagine it being any good. But you know, I guess some people are finding it good because it's apparently a thing. I talked about how people are abusing the service dog story, or abusing the service dog theory, where they're making their dogs that aren't service dogs be service dogs, fake service dogs, so they can take them into restaurants and with them all over the place. Well, this is a story about real service dogs. There will be a relay team of about 3 service dogs who will be helping a blind man run the half marathon in New York City this year. So I don't know how it's going to happen. I guess maybe they'll have he'll start off with a dog, and the dog will help him keep on the path till they get to a certain point. And then I guess one of his friends has the second dog, and they'll trade dogs off. They'll be like, hey, Bob, time to trade off. And Bob will come out, or the guy will run with Bob or whatever and catch up with them, and they'll switch the dogs out. And then he'll go down again further to another friend who will patch out the third dog. I guess that's how it's going to work. But good on that. It's a really good thing, and I'm glad to see that is happening. And kudos to that. Speaking of dogs also, this is on the do we really need this? Apparently we do. There are now swim trunks for dogs. Amazon is selling swim trunks for dogs, so no more dogs jumping naked into the pool or lake or stream or river or ocean or whatever. Now you can give them their own bathing suit. And that just doesn't make any sense to me either. But hey, if people want it, and they probably do, hey, go for it, man. I've been talking about this movie forever, and I always bring it up whenever last time I thought I wasn't ever going to talk about this again, but the Gambit movie is back in the news again, but this time not because it's going to be redone, but one of the directors who was planning on doing it but then dropped out said his version was going to be set in the 1970s and be like The Godfather. And I'm just like, how the hell would you have made a movie like that? And why would you make it a movie like that? That's almost as bad as turning Gambit into a romantic comedy movie, which might work from a certain point of view, but it just, in the end, it didn't work out. But that's just a weird idea. A study says 3 or more eggs, if you eat 3 or more eggs a day, it increases your risk of heart disease and death, I guess. I like eggs. I don't eat 3 in a day. Well, I guess I don't. I don't know. Usually when I have eggs, it's usually 1, and scrambled eggs don't count because they're scrambled. They're not full eggs. But I don't understand why all of a sudden now eggs are bad for you. Everyone used to say how good eggs were for you, and now they're bad. Doesn't make any sense. And that almost makes as much sense as another story that I don't think is on this page. It's on the next page, but I'm going to tell about it anyway because it connects to whole this thing. So eggs are bad for you. If you eat 3 or more eggs are bad for you. But a study says, here it is, by a nutritionalist of all people, said that pizza is a better breakfast food than cereal is. And again, that just makes me go, huh? So for years, you're telling us eggs are good and that you should have cereal for breakfast and not cold pizza and stuff like that. And now you're telling us the opposite. You're saying eggs can kill you now and that pizza is better for you for breakfast than cereal is? I mean, I guess if you're talking about maybe the really, really sugary cereal stuff, maybe. But there's some cereal out there like Life and Kix and Frosted Mini Wheats and stuff like that that are probably more healthy for you than, or even oatmeal for that matter, are even more healthy for you than cold pizza. Because pizza is not really that good for you. It might have cheese and tomatoes and bread in it. And if you do the meat thing, you might have meat in it as well. But it's not as good for you as cereal. I mean, I guess, as again, I can understand maybe they're comparing it to sweet cereals, but still, it doesn't make any sense. And everyone was telling us you can't eat pizza for breakfast. Speaking of breakfast, this is a breakfast all day at IHOP, but they have a new Oreo pancake with cupcake icing. So if you want to get your dessert for breakfast or dinner, go order the Oreo pancake with whipped cream topping. or iced topping. Wish I had another one of these. I'm so thirsty for more than just food, drink. Haha. Woman shoots her boyfriend in the armpit because he was snoring too loud. Stupid people with guns again. I talked about a story last week about that, and there'll probably be another story coming up next week about that. If you cannot handle a gun properly, you should not have a gun. Period. Giant Easter eggs made of something cheddar cheese, straight cheddar cheese, I guess, is there for your holiday brunch at Aldi. So if you like your cheese and you want to get a giant egg centerpiece, you can pull off your cheese and eat it that way, or put it on your brunch, whatever. Well, there you go. Aldi's to the rescue again. Asteroid keeps spinning faster and faster, and scientists have no idea why it keeps spinning faster and faster. That's just a natural, interesting story where they've been studying a asteroid that keeps spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning and keep going faster and faster and faster and faster, and they don't know why that's happening. So to be continued. Hopefully, maybe able to figure out eventually why that happens. Also, speaking of space, a dust ring was discovered in Mercury's orbit. A lot of people are thinking maybe it could have been due to possible giant asteroid hits that hit the surface of Mercury, and because of the low gravity or whatever on there, it has ejected a lot of dust and dirt up into the atmosphere, and it spread itself out into its, almost in a rotation around the sun as well. Just interesting stuff happening out there in space right now. Natural beer-infused meat. Bud Light, Budweiser, and Coleman Meats have created the first naturally beer-infused meat. So if you want to have your ham or your turkey or your bologna or whatever infused with beer, look for that new thing there. So, hey, that might be a good thing to have for our St. Patrick's Day, a beer ham sandwich. Showing how smart animals are again. Honeybees apparently can add and subtract. I don't know how they discovered that, but hey, cool. The Avengers Endgame trailer came out this week. It's the second and a half or whatever trailer for maybe the second and a half one. The first one was a quick little teaser, and then they had a couple full-length ones. This one showed a little bit more action, but it showed a lot of similar sequences, but also focused a lot more on stuff that happened in the past, which is why it's beginning to, people are starting to take a look at it and say, it might be about time travel after all. There's some new sequences shot in there. One is Scott Lang as Ant-Man looking at some missing signs. Him also as Tiny Ant-Man jumping around doing stuff. Also, Hawkeye has a few more appearances in there, including a new haircut that blew up the internet. And also the fact that he seems to be training a young girl who they think might be Kate Bishop, who is a character from the comics. And we have the shot from the last trailer of Captain America looking like he's in the middle of a big battle, getting ready to battle to the death, and he tightens his shield and bites his lips and starts to go after whoever the bad guy is. You get a look at their new costumes, which appear to be stuff that's going to take them into the quantum realm. And you get a shot of Tony being with them on Earth, so he makes it back eventually. The big key scene you see in there that's different than most stuff, which is appropriate, is the teaser at the end has Captain Marvel in the first part of in her first Avengers trailer, taking a look at Thor, and Thor's like staring her down, and he calls his battle axe, and it whizzes right by her. She doesn't flinch. He just stares at her for a little while longer. She doesn't flinch or smile, and then he goes, "I like this one." So people are now shipping the two of them. So I'm sure you've seen it. It blew up the internet also, and everybody's been going over it and over it and over it. That coincides with Captain Marvel had a $455 million opening weekend, which is phenomenal and is on the fast track to hit $1 billion. So to all the haters out there who said she was going to destroy the Marvel Cinematic Universe, boy, were you way off. Finally, this week, well, not finally, because I have that and one big story on this page before I have to go to the next page. This week was the NFL trading. The new season of football started on Wednesday. So all trades were made official. We've been hearing about who was going where and when, who was going what and where, and so on and so forth like that. But they were not officially able to sign until Wednesday. And they did, and so we started hearing all the news about all the players who are changing teams. You know, here in Baltimore, we got two good players, Earl Thomas from the Seahawks and Mark Ingram from the New Orleans Saints. That helps us out. But we also lost basically our whole defense. Terrell Suggs is going to Arizona. Darius Smith is going to Green Bay. What's his name is going to the Jets. I forget. C.J. Mosley's going to the Jets. John Brown is going to the Buffalo Bills. So there's a bunch of other people who are moving around. Joe Flacco's the Denver Broncos, stuff like that. So we lost a few people, but we also gained a few things. That's good. But the big thing was Odell Beckham Jr., who was part of the New York Giants, was traded to the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns have been doing really good stuff this year. They have their quarterback of the future. They've been getting some good wide receivers. They've been getting some good defensive help. So the Cleveland Browns are going to be a team to watch in this upcoming football year. They now got Odell Beckham Jr., and he's probably considered one of the best wide receivers out there. And there's a funny story where a Ohio teenager frightened a neighbor as she saw this kid running down the street screaming and yelling and not knowing exactly what was going on, called the police on him, discovered he was just excited and happy that Odell Beckham Jr. was coming to Cleveland to play for the Cleveland Browns, who are now probably no longer going to be a factory of sadness. Now, in honor of St. Patrick's Day, we're going to tell you a little bit of history. Now, I didn't know about this history until I learned about it today, actually. I'm just going to finish my tea now. So I have nothing to drink for the next hour or so. Stinks, but oh well. Flashback to the spring of 1866, which is 1 year after the Civil War. A group of Irish Americans who fought in the Civil War on both sides, both North and South, teamed up together to invade Canada. At this time, Canada and the United States were not as close as we were before the new president came in. Before that, we were staunch allies for the longest time. But before that, when Canada was still considered to be a British product, these Irish Americans decided they would invade Canada, seize some territory up there, and ransom it back to Britain for Ireland's freedom. So even though they were in America and they were Irish Americans, they still had their hearts to have a free Ireland. Now, there's a whole history between Ireland and England, which I don't have time to get into. They say it's not good, and it didn't really get better until like the late 80s, early 90s, and even then, it's still not the best right now. But regardless, so they decided that they would do this as their plan. They would go in, they would seize some territory, ransom it to England, and then when England released Ireland from their grasp or whatever, they would release Canada back to the British. President Johnson was turning a blind eye to this and letting them do it, even though it was considered a war maneuver, because he was angry at England as well for shipping over ships for the Confederacy that killed a number of the Northern soldiers and stuff like that. So he was still angry about their interference into the war. So he turned a blind eye to these people doing it. Obviously, they were not successful, but they tried 5 times. And it's all under something called the Fenian Raids, which, check it out. I guess go to Wikipedia if you want to. I know a lot of people are like, Wikipedia, really? But that's probably the easiest place to get some fairly good information about it, this storyline. The Fenian Raids, Fenian raids. 5 times Irish Americans tried to invade Canada and steal territory and ransom it to the English. 5 times they failed, obviously. But hey, you learn something new every day. That's kind of an interesting story. St. Patrick's Day coming up tomorrow, or today if you're watching it on Sunday, or yesterday if you're watching it on Monday. Now we're down to our last page. In 5 years, dinosaurs can be recreated. This just has Jurassic Park written all over it, and it's so funny, so much so funny that when it was announced in the news, Jeff Goldblum on Twitter used a line that his character Ian Malcolm used in the Jurassic Park movie to tweet that out. So I don't know if I want to have dinosaurs existing, but I guess they figured out how to do it. So good on them. I just talked about Avengers Endgame, how you have is basically the end of this phase of the MCU, which includes, the beginning part of it. It includes it is going to be the last film that Robert Downey Jr. will do as Iron Man, as of now. The last movie that Chris Evans will be doing as Captain America, as of now. Rumored that this is the last movie that Chris Hemsworth will be doing as Thor, as well. And now add Mark Ruffalo's name to that. He said he's not going to do any more Hulk movies or be the Hulk anymore in the MCU after this as well. So, I guess, the MCU probably was going to be prepared for this because they knew that, these people have been doing the roles for 10 years and they were getting older, and eventually going to need to get younger characters in here because these characters are not supposed to age, get replacements, and or you're just going to move on to a new group of heroes. I mean, if you look at it, the next couple films we got are a lot of sequels. You're going to have Black Panther 2, Doctor Strange 2. Obviously, Captain Marvel 2 is going to be that good. There's talk that a third Ant-Man movie is going to be coming out, which is great because they're a lot of fun. The Eternals is one that's been talked about as well. This is also an official movie as well. They have found the director for the first Asian superhero in the MCU, Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu. That's going to be a movie that's going to be coming out sooner than later. They got the director, so now they're just going to have to get, I guess, the script, or maybe they already have a script and they have the director. Now they just need to do some casting and get the movie started. Black Widow will be getting her movie out soon with Emma Roberts. Not Emma Roberts. The woman who played Hermione from Harry Potter. I can't think. Emma Watson. That's what it is. Emma Watson is rumored to have a role in the film. So that'll be interesting to see that. Probably as one of the widows in the Red Room. So that'll be interesting to see that as well. And the Eternals, which is their new big group hero thing. And then, there's rumors that there's going to be an all-female Avengers thing that's going to be rolling through. They might be able to convince Chris Hemsworth to come back for another Thor. We'll see. He wants Taiki Waititi to do the story for that. If he does that, he might come back for that. So we'll see. Speaking of Taiki Taika Waititi is going to be co-writing and directing a TV version of the classic film Time Bandits for Apple. I guess they're going to do it on their Apple systems. I guess you'll be able to see it on your iPhone or tablets or whatever. But he's going to be doing a show based on Time Bandits, which is a really good idea because Time Bandits is a great movie, and to have someone like Taika Waititi doing the stuff like that could be very, very interesting. A drunk woman stole a ferry and declared herself a boat ferry and declared herself Jack Sparrow. So she took over a ferry, stole it, and screamed she was Jack Sparrow. Of course, she was also totally wasted, so it's kind of funny. You like to play pool? The game where you play with the stick and stuff like that, and you hit the balls into the hole. Well, guess what? They actually have an outdoor pool game right now, which is human size. So basically, the balls, instead of a stick, a person can stand on the field of play and kick the balls into the holes. But it's set up like absolutely like pool. So you have to, all the different balls, and you got to hit them just right and have them bounce in and stuff like that. It's just pool, but outdoors. So that's pretty interesting as well. A pathetic man-child who was complaining about the direction that this new Star Wars the new Star Wars trilogy went into, is melting 2,000 of his vintage Star Wars toys in defiance of the stuff, saying, "I'm showing you how angry I am about this trilogy that I'm destroying all my childhood toys, all these action figures and vehicles and stuff like that, melting them in acetone and creating big giant trash balls." It's like, dude, you've got serious problems. What's the matter with you? Also talking about Easter, Peeps are everywhere. Now you can get solid milk chocolate Peep bunnies. So instead of it tasting like Peeps, you can get them in the design of a Peep, but it'll be a chocolate bunny type of thing, but it'll be a chocolate Peep. So something different for your Easter basket if you like. That's good. You've heard of garden gnomes. Well, how about a garden Goomba? For those who know Super Mario Brothers and all this stuff, Goombas are the little guys that walk around, and Mario gets to flatten them, jump on them, and flatten them. Well, they've created garden Goombas, so you can put the Goombas out in your garden like a garden gnome and have them walk around and watch stuff. So I think that's pretty cool. Now, I just talked about the chocolate Peeps. Well, you know all about the elf on the shelf at Christmas time. Well, now they have Peep on a perch. So Peeps are everywhere, man. So you've got your chocolate Peeps now, or you have your milk chocolate Peep bunny type things. You can now also have a Peep on the perch, which is going to be the Easter version of Elf on the Shelf. I guess you move the Peep around different places every day, and then the Easter bunny takes them and back to Easter Village or Easter Island or whatever. If you want to do that, I guess that's cute. I mean, so that'll again look like the fuzzy Peeps that you're used to eating, but instead it'll be one that you'll be able to move around for your children to think that a Peep is actually watching them and talking to the Easter bunny about them. So that's pretty good. I talked about the cheese egg. Well, cheese is a big thing too. Costco is selling a giant cheese wedding cake. Basically consists of those round circles of cheese piled up like layers of cake, and it's all different types of cheeses, so you can cut into that. Instead of it being cake, it's cheese. Again, what's the obsession with cheese? I don't know. March 20th, which, as I said, is the first day of spring this year, not the 21st, the 20th is the first day of spring, is also now has been declared as the final drop dead date, finally, for the merger between Disney and Fox. So we've been waiting for this for over a year and a half or now for them to sign it. Well, March 20th will be the day where they sign it and they merge, and all the characters that Fox bought for Marvel, the X-Men, Deadpool, Fantastic Four, all that are now going to be back in the fold at the Disney for Marvel MCU stuff. On the other side, DC has got a Dr. Fate movie in the works, which is interesting because right now Dr. Fate is a bad guy. But Dr. Fate has always been one of these characters that has been really, really interesting to look at and watch and see, and has a great costume. And now they make a good movie. They can make it actually fairly entertaining. I wouldn't mind seeing a Dr. Fate movie. I think it'd be pretty cool. And that could lead into a Justice League Dark movie possibly down the line, which I would love to see. All right, let's see. Should I get into a little bit of sex stuff now? Let's see. So let's see if there's any other sex stuff down here. Nope. All right, so we'll do a little bit of sex talk now. First up, Mel B of the Spice Girls. Remember her? She was Scary Spice, I guess. At one time, she was not married, but she was pregnant by Eddie Murphy and he's the father of one of her children. But that's not who she's doing this to. This is an ex that's just been more recent. But Mel B of the Spice Girls says that she had her vagina scraped to remove traces of her ex. Ew. So she had someone go in there and actually like scrape her vagina of, I guess, his remnants. I don't want to get too gross about it. Okay. That's weird. But again, you know, it's a Spice Girl and celebrity, and they're already weird as it is. So what are you going to do, right? About something else that's weird. You need to get a cock cam, which is an actual new thing now. It's a GoPro for men, but instead of putting it on your head or something like that, you put it on your cock or your dick or whatever. And you can photograph, I guess, having intercourse with your loved one, your partner, and play it back in super extreme close-up. A GoPro for your cock. I should name this episode. It says St. Patrick's Day Eve. It's a real thing, man. I'm not just creating things out of thin air. It's a real thing, and that just seems really quite odd to me. Oh well. Finally, ending our sex talk on a really good note, actually. I've talked about this comic book series before on my show. With me and MJ Khan talked about it before, but Sunstone, which is a 5-book series right now, detailing the story of a love story between two women that starts off as just BDSM play between a dom and a sub, turns into one of the greatest romantic comedy comic book stories of all time, with a wide variety of characters, interesting storylines, and a look at actually what BDSM is actually like, and not what you think it's about. And yes, Stefan Sejic, who is the artist writer of it, draws very, very beautiful naked women. And there's lots of beautiful naked women in various sexual poses and situations, but it's all done tastefully and as part of the storyline. And there's even some male nudity in there as well. Well, book 6 is coming out this week, and I am ecstatic. It is Mercy, the first part of another multi-book storyline, where we get a little bit more in-depth into the supporting characters, because Sunstone has some of the best supporting characters out there. And now we're going to get to know them a little bit better. So that's coming out this week in comics. Speaking of comics, I was a little last week, I guess. I will be doing 2 weeks worth of the comic haul this week. So stay tuned for after the show if you want to see comics after that, because this one's going to be blown by. I'm almost done here. So that's it for all the sex talk. Canadian moms say cannabis makes them better parents. Now, Canada has legalized marijuana, and so parents are now doing marijuana legally and recreationally, and these moms are now saying that after they take their marijuana, it makes them better moms and better parents to their children. I don't know how they describe that or how their reasoning is for it, but hey, it's good for them. Why not? Let's do some animal stuff. One big story this week was a jaguar injures a woman after she crosses the border to take a selfie with him. Now, luckily, the zoo knew exactly what was going on and didn't put the jaguar down for attacking a person, because this person went past the barrier she was supposed to try to get a picture with a jaguar, and it makes no sense. And her reasoning is that they need to make it better and harder for people to cross over, or just don't cross over. But luckily, they didn't put the jaguar down because he was just protecting himself from somebody, and the woman wasn't killed. She was injured, and it was on her own stupid fault, so good on that. A Florida pelican bites a Maryland asshole after he tackles it. That's down in Florida, I guess. A Maryland guy was vacationing or drunk or whatever, decided he was going to tackle a pelican. So he leaped in and attacked a pelican. The pelican's like, and the pelican bit and attacked the person, again, defending themselves from a complete and utter moron. And more power to the pelican. And I'm sorry, I apologize for all of us here in Maryland for our fellow statesman who is a complete and utter idiot. An airport offices, I think is in the Philippines, decided there were about, I guess they said 4 abandoned luggage suitcases that they were obligated to open to just see what they were, that were abandoned, and nobody knew what they were. When they opened them up, they discovered 1,529 live sea turtles whose legs were duct taped inside their shells. So someone was either trying to sneak these turtles into the country or out of the country, and either thought that they were going to get busted for it and left them, or something happened. I don't know. But these turtles almost died, and they suffered. And luckily, these airport people able to get them out and get them the care that they needed. And these turtles are all going to survive now. And that just is another little horrible type of story I wish never happened. This is an accidental death. 4-year-olds, 4-year-olds, they don't know better, and they're young, and anyway, this 4-year-old boy accidentally kills his pet goldfish when he took the fish out of its tank to cuddle with it in bed, like you'd cuddle with a cat or a dog. See, he just wanted to cuddle his pet. He loved his fish and wanted to get him out of the tank and sleep with them. And I guess either his parents didn't see it, or thought maybe it would only be for a little bit and they put the fish back in, or maybe they thought it would be in a bag of water and be able to, I don't know how that happened, but he left it out of the water too much, and the poor goldfish passed away. So hopefully the kid will learn a lesson from that. And the parents, if they knew about this, they really should have known better to teach them what to do. Going from that, we have a woman who decided to sew a new wing for a butterfly who one wing was all tore up. This woman sewed a new wing for the butterfly, and so it could fly, and it was successful. So good on that. It was like a butterfly, what do you call it? A repair job. That's not what I call it, but I can't do it. Okay. A diver found himself inside the mouth of a whale. I guess when you're diving and you're just exploring underwater, and all of a sudden, this whale is just catching his krill, doesn't see you, and gulps you down. He's able to escape from the whale, and there was no harm done to either the whale or the human, but still must be really, really scary to have a whale eat you. Crazy. A police cat received a promotion after coercing a confession from a suspect with his tenacious purring. So, or not tenacious, therapeutic purring. So, police station has a cat that lives on the premises. Probably doesn't belong to any of the police officers. Just was a local cat that just wanted to hang around the police office. And so the officers thought it'd be kind of cool to deputize the cat just for fun and just for a little story and stuff like that. And so the cat was now an official member of the police department. So it's wandering around doing its thing. So a suspect comes in, and the cat comes in and starts, just rubbing up against the guy and purring. And the criminal picked it up and started, petting it and stuff like that. And just started, all of a sudden just opened up and told the cat, I did it, and this is the reason why I did it. And the cat listened, and the police heard it, and the cat was able to coerce this from the suspect. So he got a promotion. So good on that to the police cat for that. And this is the last animal story of the day, and it's probably an amazing one. 3,000 chickens gang up to kill a fox. Now, fox in the hen house has always been a line people use all the time, but foxes sneak into chicken coops all the time and kill all the chickens and eat them. So it was bound to be eventual time when the chickens were able to team up together to take out the fox, and 3,000 chickens teamed up to kill one fox. So there's safety numbers apparently, and again, keep an eye out for these animals. They're starting to learn some new tricks. Honeybees can add and subtract now. Whales eating people. Police cats getting confessions from suspects. And now 3,000 chickens gang up to kill a fox. Switching gears. Man accused of choking a driver for singing Christmas carols in March. Look, I still have my Christmas stuff up. Not entirely. The tree's down, and a bunch of the decorations are down, but there's just some decorations up, and the rest of the decorations are just sort of sitting up there until I get the bins that are in one of these closets over here to go up there and do the stuff. But it's just been hard with all the repairs to the cars and just tired and stuff like that, and just busy weekends. I can't do it. So I was going to do it again today, but I got too much running around to do. But oh well. But hey, so he's accused of choking a Uber driver or something like that who was singing Christmas carols in March. Dude, you need to get over the fact that some people like Christmas carols. And if you don't like it, well, TS, you don't choke people because of that. Also, along the same lines, a bus driver abandons 30 kids at a gas station, gives them the finger, and tells them to go F themselves. I'm trying not to curse because that's what I gave up for Lent this year. So, but you get the idea. That bus driver, I guess, just had enough of the kids just being total jerks and annoying, and just dumped them off and gave them a finger and said, go F yourselves. Still not a good thing to do, but I can understand the frustration. But still not a good thing to do. Not safe. Ugh. And just to think, what if it was your kid who was abandoned at a gas station? That would not be any good at all. And how would anyone know what happened? So, I mean, eventually they'd probably figure it out, but it would be really scary for the kids, I think. Dodgeball, but with bows and arrows. It's a new thing out there where, you go outside and you have bows and arrows with plastic, or I think I might have covered this before. Soft tip stuff where you can shoot each other and try to hit each other like in dodgeball, but it's with bows and arrows. The trash tag challenge is actually one of these viral challenges I can get behind. It's a new viral challenge, where people do a before picture of an area covered in trash and disgusting and stuff like that, just a total mess. And then they clean it up. They and a bunch of their friends clean it up, and then they take a picture after with all the trash bags and stuff like that, showing what they did, and they call it the Trash Tag Challenge. So it's a good way to help clean up your environment and a good way for things to go viral. So definitely go for it, man. Finally, I think the last story of the day is, it seems like every week I talk about a new Disney Plus streaming service thing, which is making me more and more want to get the Disney Plus streaming service. And I probably will, depending on how much it is. But due to the success of Into the Spider-Verse, which I think comes out on DVD this upcoming Tuesday, Disney Plus has decided that they are going to do a What If animated anthology. Now, What If is one of those comics that Marvel does where they take a look at alternate realities where what if this happened instead of what happened in the comic. A good example is what if Uncle Ben had lived, or what if Aunt May was the one that died, or what if Gwen Stacy did not die, or what if Rick Jones had become the Hulk and not Bruce Banner, or what if the Fantastic Four start out as the Fantastic Five, what if this and that. So they take storylines that have happened already and change something up about it. What if Captain America had never gotten frozen? What if Captain America was never revived? That type of thing. And so what they do is they flip it and they tell a story about what would happen if something like that happens. So to see an animated version of this could actually be a very entertaining series of films. So they just got to find really good stories, and everybody knows and loves it. Real quick, just a few anniversaries. Three's Company, the TV show that I watched a lot of, is 42 years old. That just seems wow, because it just seems like only yesterday watching that. This will make you even older. My Cousin Vinny, the great movie with Joe Pesci and Marissa Tomei and Ralph Macchio, is 27 years old this week. 1963, Iron Man was created. And also this week is the 35th anniversary of Stephen King's, the film version of Stephen King's book, Children of the Corn. So that's that. So, holidays, and then we're going to be done this episode of Dylan Knows, and then we'll get into some we'll be doing I'm just looking at this thread. All right, so we will go to check I Day. There you are. So today is March 16th. Today is Black Press Day, Curlew Day, Everything You Do Is Right Day, Freedom of Information Day, Goddard Day, International Sport Car Racing Day, Lips Appreciation Day, Maple Syrup Saturday, National Artichoke Heart Day, National Corn Dog Day, National Quilting Day, it's Panda Day, St. Urho's Day. That was today. Yesterday, the 15th, was Dumbstruck Day, Everything You Think Is Wrong Day, the Ides of March, International Day Against Police Brutality, International Eat an Animal for PETA Day, really, National Brutus Day, National Peanut Lovers Day, National Paris Helene Day, National Preschool Teachers Appreciation Day, National Shoe the World Day, National True Confessions Day, World Consumer Rights Day, World Sleep Day. And then tomorrow is obviously St. Patrick's Day. We also have Submarine Day, St. Patrick's Day, National Corned Beef and Cabbage Day, National Buzzard Day, Doctor-Patient Trust Day, and Campfire Girls Day. And that's all for tomorrow, March 17th. So that is it for this episode of Dylan Knows St. Patrick's Day. Festivities. So we are going to depart and enjoy ourselves. A little bit of St. Patrick's Day joy. Actually, this is too depressing for St. Patrick's Day. Let's get a little bit more upbeat here. This is the Corrs singing, not singing, but playing Loch Arran Shore. So this is St. Patrick's Day, Irish music. Happy St. Patrick's Day. This is too depressing also. That's a good song. We gotta get back to this one. I start the show off with this. Let's finish it with this. St. Patrick's Day music by Derek and Brandon Fletcher. Check out my St. Patrick's Day playlist for all things St. Patrick's Day. And hey, you know what? You might not be Irish, but go out, enjoy yourself, have fun, and enjoy yourself. And until next year, St. Patrick's Day, Aaron go bra, and happy St. Patrick's Day. Kiss me, I'm Irish. Pinch those people not wearing green.